Huh, so we started with you coughing, huh? Here we go. We're live. How's everyone
Yeah.
doing?
Yo, what's up,
I'm
peeps?
hoping everyone is doing great.
They better
Right?
be.
They better be. They better be.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is episode what is it? 71 now. Dude, time is flying. I've started our cafe. Goddamn. When did I start it? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago? When did you start your collective podcast? Like when did
uh,
that happen?
Collective podcast started about 5 years ago.
Five
Yeah,
years ago.
about so. I
Damn.
think so. Six, maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. 5 years, I think, actually. Uh, yeah,
That's
it's
been
hard to keep up, honestly.
it is.
Like,
It
yeah,
is. It's time is flying.
a lot of stuff
You,
going on.
yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing how time is flying. I remember I've been on your podcast like goddamn three
Four
years
times now, I
ago.
think. Yeah.
4 times, yeah. It's like 3 years, 4 years ago.
Yeah. When
Something
all
like
else
that.
fails, pull out the big guns.
And that was shortly after I moved back to United States, I think. That's when it started to happen. So yeah, it's
When your
been
life
it's
changed,
it's
dude.
been a couple of years, man.
When you met Papa.
Yeah, I met Papa, and the life
Art
started to
Papa.
change. Today's a kind of weird one. That's actually not a weird one. It's a fun one. It's a one with no camera this time around. It's a little late
How come you don't have
today.
a camera?
I decided not to have it on because I look like shit. I'm in my pajamas.
That's
I
hot,
nor- I
dude.
normally don't do podcast that late, so yeah,
Yeah.
there you have it. Um,
It was late because I wanted it to do it late, I think, right?
yeah, I mean you have pretty busy days, so
Yeah.
obviously you know had to wait, had to wait.
Yeah.
Um, and
I'm trying
yeah,
to avoid that stuff, any distractions in the middle of the day, as you know, so
that's
I can
true.
get my
Doing the same.
deep work going. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Distractions during man, like this is one of those things that when you start getting a lot of things going on, um, you get those distractions a lot. Uh, like, y- because like if you're just working one job, let's say you're just doing one work,
Yeah.
what quickly happens is that um, you do your, let's say, 9 to 5 or whatever the schedule is, um, and then you come back home and then you have free time to do whatever, right? But the moment you
Yeah.
switch to freelance, and with freelance is that in most cases, from at least most of the artists that I talk with, you are more busy than you imagine you would be,
Yeah.
even
It's a
though you
lot.
might not have that much work. The hustle of finding work, or maybe the
Yeah.
idea that sometimes you will have to do a couple of things all at once because you never know what's going to happen the next month.
Yeah.
That makes your head spinning, basically.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot going on in your life, and then comes family and all of those things. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I've started noticing, and I think I've started noticing that with age,
Mm.
um, is that you get your head distracted really quick, especially if you don't have any boundaries. Like
Mm.
it's just very easy to get distracted and not move in the right direction with your
Yeah.
life. And you have your work that you have to be done with, and what happens is none of it is getting done at all because like there's a phone call here and then there's a meeting there and then like I have to go and do laundry and then freaking time for family and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's all of those things. All of those
Let's talk about your
things.
laundry for a couple hours.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
do
that.
that. Let's do that.
So, do you separate your laundry?
Yeah, I don't. I put everything in one basket and
You
throw it
savage.
in. I don't care. Do you?
Yeah, we do. My wife is really like all about that.
Are you
She
are you
doesn't
ever
because
getting like? Go ahead. Sorry.
Mrs. Thorpe does not like it when I throw reds in with the whites.
Do you ever get dangerous and like mix in some of the unwashed laundry in your basket, like
No,
in your cells, just like
that's some Polish shit
like
right there.
like a pig.
No, I never do that. It's like that's an Andrew thing, like the laundry roulette. His room's always messy. We should get Andrew up on this, be easy.
It's funny when we have the conversation with Andrew, like every time that happens, this fucking shitload of his laundry laying around, and in the camera is like, dude, just clean your room for fuck's sake. So dirty.
Yeah, we're like his parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Sorry guys, I'm a little sick right now. I'm still getting over this cold. The cough is the last straw, so it's like just lingering right now. People know to call me Papa. They're calling me Papa in this chat. That's right. I'm Papa Ash.
Papa Ash. Dude, how's your life? Just for public conversation. How's your life? Because I know how's your life. We fucking talk every day.
Yeah. Right now I'm in a good place because like I've worked out a good deal with my wife, so I could take the week off from client distractions. Which I love. I do really love working with my clients, and they're great people for the most part. It's awesome. And I'm really blessed to have them, but I'd rather just be doing my own thing for the most part. So it's been really great. Today, almost all day today, I was doing a lot of Octane studies and like learning how to use all these crazy shader things that my friend Mike's showing me and Raul has been showing me. And I'm working on my next film and working on this crazy tribute, as you know, that's going to be nuts. So spending some time with that. But yeah, right now life is really good. I got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu. That's another big thing since the last time we did one of these things. So that's a high honor. I'm really stoked about that. Yeah, I missed jiu-jitsu yesterday, which is a bummer. I try not to ever miss it, but yeah.
Yeah, you're very dedicated. I kind of fell off a track with that.
Yeah, it's difficult, man.
It's difficult. I mean, it's a big commitment. You kind of have to sort of like sort out your life to have that happen.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for myself, some other things took much bigger priority over that. So I had to just like make a decision. Okay, I can only do 3 things.
Addiction to Teletubbies.
Yeah, addiction to Teletubbies is the one thing that makes my life, be very complicated, basically, because it's just like you have to watch it, and then you don't have enough time in the day. So
yeah.
But yeah, just like I still try to keep myself active. So try to go for a run or get my kettlebells, swing them around a little bit, just to don't fall off the tracks completely.
Yeah, it's easy to do.
You don't want to do that. Yeah. I have kettlebells at home, and I try to do like at least some like warm-ups and regular things just to keep body in motion. It when you have to move, especially when you I do have a standing desk. I try to use that as much as I can too. But mostly you end up sitting. And unless you force yourself a lot to stand.
Yeah.
Sitting is the worst. Like it just strains your back really, really badly.
Standing improperly can strain your back too. You got to be cautious of both of those.
True.
Yeah, sitting actually bad for your digestive system and all kinds of stuff too. But yeah, I think it's a good mix of the two of those, from my opinion. Yeah, that's how you get a good blend. Yeah, you gotta have a good mix of the two things.
Yeah, I found also. Like ever since college, like ever since I left college, I was struggling with weight. Like I was super unhealthy, and up until I came here, I think up until 2011, I was like overweight, like on the brink of obesity. Like I think stage 1 of obesity. Like I was 270 pounds, something like that.
Wow.
Like some intense numbers. And then my buck gave up. Went to a doctor, and I think what happened, I should. It was like an old guy, like super old, super old. Like he looked like he's about to die, basically. That kind of doctor, right? So
the doctor was that old?
Yeah, he was super old. Like He was like, when he was talking, like, oh my God, are you going to die? Giving me diagnosis, like that kind of doctor.
Wow.
But I think because of that, he was also like super old school. And he's
Mhm.
like, man, you're fat. You're fat.
Sometimes you need people just to tell you
Yeah,
that kind of shit, you
your
know?
spine is too weak to handle that fat. You have to lose, like, just like I'm not even paraphrasing. That's what I heard.
Sluggish. You said that?
Yeah, it's like you have
Is
to fucking lose weight, man. Like he said, we can do physical therapies and stuff like that, but I can guarantee it's not gonna help you at all because you're too fat.
oh gosh. That's pretty awesome actually though.
Um,
Gave you the medicine you needed to hear, I
yeah,
imagine.
and then luckily as well, another thing that I sort of like happened all of like randomly. I think
Mhm.
because I was setting up with I was working at Naughty Dog and setting up there, and I think I got my computer upgraded, something like that. Something was going on there, um, and I didn't have my ad block enabled, so I was I think I was on social media or something, and I saw this. It wasn't a commercial. It was like a commercial about Couch to 5K, which is basically this program of like how to ease yourself into running,
Mhm.
and you know it's like, hey, like you can actually run and learn running. Like let's try that.
Mhm.
And so I started reading. I was living in the apartment building, so we had gym downstairs, and was just the first night I went with my wife and we started running. We could run for like 40 seconds and we're completely exhausted. And then
Some
we had to
Wally
walk for
action
like,
right
yeah,
there.
like 5 minutes, 5 minute
Mm.
walking, 40 seconds running, and then like 15 minutes total. We were
Uh,
spent like sore for like a week.
yeah, you gotta
um,
start slow.
yeah, yeah.
You start somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, we followed that protocol, and it's basically doing intervals, and easing yourself to basically running. Um, dude, it helped so much because I got addicted. You know my personality. By now you know that I'm very very much like 0 to 100
Yeah.
with a lot of things. So I went complete 0 to 100 with running, and we started. I started in I think it was end of August, September ish, something like that. And
Hmm.
by Christmas holidays, I was 185 pounds.
Damn, Daniel.
Yeah, I've lost like 60 pounds or something like that running. I was
Wow.
like under 200, and
60
then the
pounds of
next
fat and gain muscle too, which is cool.
no muscles. Like I was just purely running, no
Well, you
exercise
gain
whatsoever.
some muscle.
For sure, right? Yeah, I could run 5 miles without like straight run, five
Wow.
miles.
Really?
Yeah,
I can't
in
do
three
that.
months, in just 3 months, because I was doing it
Wow.
every day.
This
And
is
what
like a good
happens?
ad for that. You guys, if you have your ad blocker up, here's the ad. We're getting it right now in the flesh.
I think what was really cool about that is just like once you commit yourself to it, there is certain things that also start to happen that you probably never paid attention to, which is
Hmm.
your eating habits. Like I had to stop eating shitty food because
Yeah.
it would just make my runs horrible. Like I would not be able to run. I would feel
Yeah.
horrible.
Bad food's just bad.
So started
Yeah.
like I stopped sodas, all of that stuff. Like I think the combination of all of those things all at once made
Yeah.
it so that I could lose that much weight and also get so much healthier. No back issues ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
true. I was just too fat.
that
I
doctor
was a
saved your life,
fat
dude.
fuck.
Saved your fat ass life.
Yeah, it's just like we're living in times where everyone like that's one of the things I've noticed, and I've said this on my podcast before. It's like when I came to America, like for most people who live in Europe, it is sort of like a little bit of a culture shock. Maybe not nowadays, but at least a few years ago. Because in Europe, when people talk to one another, in most cases there's no filter.
Hmm.
Like they just say shit. Like they don't consider like hey, is saying shit like this, is it going to offend you at any
Mhm.
point? Like, are you gonna feel offended? Like, is there any cultural aspects that I have to take into consideration when I have a conversation with you? No, nothing like that in Europe. I think the history of Europe and the wars and just people just being nasty most of the time to one another through the history.
Just
Like we just,
built up that
I think
callus.
Europeans learned the fact, like learned how to be just like, yeah, like have that callous and not really care. Like
Yeah.
we just don't care, like not give a fuck basically. Like you can, dude. I used to when I was working at Crytek, I used to hear so many because it's a German company, right? I used to hear so many German Nazi invasion of Poland jokes. It
Oh.
wasn't even funny, but I'm just like, what am I supposed to say? You Hitler, you Jungen. So
Yikes.
yeah, we jokes like that were flying around all the time, and
Yeah.
nobody cared. Like nobody cared. Nobody got offended. Nobody was talking to HR. Like none of that was ever happening. It's just like everyone was just like, yeah, well, I guess it's the part of part of the.
Company culture.
It was not company culture for sure, but it just like nobody really gave a fuck.
Yeah.
And when I came here, for me, a shock was like how easily people get offended by words, by just
Yeah.
just
People put a lot of
language.
power into words in America. They like,
It's
get
weird.
super hung up on words. It's like chill, like chill out, people.
I think it's the weirdest
Take a
part.
take a nap or something.
The weirdest dichotomy of that is it's like knowing. I mean, living in different countries. I lived obviously. I'm from Poland. I lived in Germany. Now in U.S. I have. I mean, not maybe a lot of experience, but at least I know three countries really well and how the systems work. Right. All of them, Poland and Germany are democratic countries, but they don't have same freedom of speech as America has. There are certain laws in Germany that will get you jailed for just talking, and same with Poland. Like
Really?
if you say a wrong thing, you can go to jail. Yeah, man,
Hmm.
that can happen. Like it's not gonna happen here. You have freedom of speech. It's actually the First Amendment to the Constitution,
Yeah.
right? It's like the
Because
first thing you
that's a
read,
good because it's kind of a good one.
and yet you get offended by words. So you can
Well, I
you
mean
can by law
that's what
you can
happens. So
yeah, by law you can say anything, but yet you all get offended by it. So it's kind of weird and funny, and it's interesting for sure. It's
yeah,
definitely a culture shock when you come from Europe, and I guess it's the same thing for Americans. When you go to Europe, you experience like completely.
people are cunts.
It is the first. It is a world of everything is developed and all of that stuff, right? You
Hmm.
have very similar ways of life, but yet the the nuances make it so it's a culture shock. So yeah, it's weird. It's it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting too. But I don't know what were we talking about. I think we usually when we
it
talk
definitely
about
wasn't
something,
art.
it wasn't art. We were talking about your jujitsu. We were talking
Yeah,
about me losing weight. We're kind of like
yeah,
strolling through different topics. I think.
yeah. Naturally. Yeah, a little bit about jujitsu.
Oh yeah, I asked you what's your life is about. Like how are you
Mhm.
doing?
Yeah, but
There
I
you go.
mean, yeah, the
Circling back
balance
to the original subject.
the balance is good right now. Quite happy. This drawing's pissing me off. So, uh, trying to think. Yeah, no, everything's good. Just enjoying life basically. My family's healthy. Everybody I know and love is doing decent, or if not really great, which is awesome. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like all is good. Life is good. Can't
Mm.
really put anything else. Like I just feel blessed to be able to be living here and being thankful for how nice everything is right now. Um, yeah, everything is good. Really.
Yeah, you worked your butt off to do that, right? You've been freelancing pretty much ever since, right? Apart from your episode with that was prologue, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
Yeah.
that was the only time you really had been working full time in this
At a
industry.
studio in
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
industry. Yeah. Yeah, that was the only time.
Yeah, I consider
Um,
full time job is when you actually go to the studio, or
yeah.
contract job where you go to the studio. Because sometimes you might be working at the studio, but only for a couple of months. That's what Andrew does most of the
Yeah.
time. But yeah, you've been freelancing for the most of the time, and I know it from my my own experience with you. It's just like you do so much shit.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, I do a lot of stuff.
I used to
Um,
consider myself to be prolific and at
hmm,
least like in like almost a workaholic, but then I
hmm.
see you doing work. Like,
Yeah.
where do you find time doing that? I guess just working smart. I guess.
I try to.
Yeah.
It's not always, but it's all about picking the right things to do, knowing your priorities. Yeah, there's so much going on. I mean, if I were to list it all out, it'd be pretty crazy. There's just so much. I feel like my biggest problem, and one of the things I need to probably do, is find somebody that I could team up with that would help me. Because all I want to do all day is just make stuff and help people out and do that kind of stuff, whether it's for films or just
Right.
like right now I'm like kind of like life coaching one of my close friends that I've known for a long time, and I love it. Like I love helping him out. One of his dreams is to be a stand-up comedian,
Oh.
just to do stand-up, not to be a prolific guy in stand-up. He just wants to do like one night. He wants to go up and do it and kill it, and I'm like
Right.
I'm
You
just like
just want to
coaching him.
try it, or like
Well, it's just
try
a
and do
dream of
it.
his, It's just
Got
a
it.
dream. Like before we worked on movies, it was a dream,
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of thing,
Yeah. It starts there. Like it
It does
starts
start
with
there.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he gets the
But
bug, then he just
yes.
has to be ready for basically you know um being really
Trolls and stuff.
bad. No, just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
just bombing really hard. It's
Yeah.
probably
I'm
what
gonna
that's what's
prepare
gonna
him
be.
though. I'm gonna prepare him as best I can. And it all starts with like understanding your priorities and where you put those priorities and how you use the time that you do have to the best of your ability, so
Right.
that you can make the best of everything that you have. So it's like we're focusing on living an A-list priority life, understanding priorities and really understanding like a rhythm and a
Mm-hmm.
regimen. There's one book that I read that I really love. It's from one of my favorite authors, Stephen King, and it's called Stephen King on Writing. Stephen King on Writing, and it really kind of for me it solidified the notion that any real big pro that I admire was a first and foremost a curious mind, but at the same time a diligent, hardworking mind person that was really willing to put in that time, the daily regimen to really understand what it is that they're doing and hone their craft every day. And Stephen King's book is like all about just him talking about his his routine basically
Mm-hmm.
and how it is that he manages to write like X amount of books a year and all that stuff because he puts X amount of words on the paper every day, and that eventually leads up to a book. And it's pretty crazy. I mean, it's easy to look at him now and go, yeah, well, you're Stephen King and you're successful. But we all have to start somewhere. And Stephen King has some shitty stories. Like, what's that one? The Cujo? That's just not good. It's not. And, I have horrible projects too. And we all do, but the thing is, it's like keep going. So, off the tangent, but no, that's what I'm doing right now with my buddy Jason. I'm helping him out, and it's really
Nice.
cool. I love it because it reminds me of like the best parts of Learn Squared when you find that student that you just kind of really connect with, and every word that you say elevates you, but also elevates them, and it just becomes this really cool exchange.
Yeah.
So that's kind of yeah. I find that when I help people, I get better too. Like when it's done well, I feel like cool. Like I'm able to like help them, but at the same time, I'm able to help myself by understanding what it is to be better, at whatever
Yeah.
I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's been really cool.
I
So
think yeah, it's kind of interesting that you're doing that because when I met you, you would be I would say you would be the last person to do that.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think like the experiences of running the school have changed you. Which, by the way,
Yeah,
Is
that's
it a good time to have like a little commercial break and talk about this
do you do
amazing
those?
dude? Oh, no, I don't, but I
Uh,
maybe should start. So
yeah.
there's this school that I've discovered. I actually founded it together with Ash and Andrew, which is called Learn Squared. I've heard, and don't quote me on it, allegedly, it's the best art school that is out there. If you want to be an artist, we allegedly, by the way, guarantee success 100,000%. So basically, the moment you sign up and give us all the money,
Yeah, get
you,
all of
you,
it.
you work for
Family
Ridley Scott,
riches.
basically. Right off the bat, Ridley Scott personally calls you.
It's funny you mentioned him. It's funny you
Yeah, man,
mentioned him.
dude, and James Cameron as well. He
Yeah,
actually
Jamesy
sends you a
boy.
postcard for your birthday. Like he knows your birthday before you even say it. So, and
Yeah,
it's all bonus content that
it's
you
all
get from
programmed.
Learn Squared. So allegedly. So
Alleged.
so
So I
yeah,
don't see why you guys wouldn't want to sign up. I mean, for
yeah,
real,
exactly. Like,
like
you, have you
legitimate.
have you ever dreamed about something that you really need to dream about, and that thing obviously is art, and you need to obviously become an artist? There you go.
Yeah, there you
That's it.
go.
That's it.
Yeah, how many people out there have you met? And you go, oh, what do you do? And you go, I'm an artist. And they go, oh, I used to draw. Like, damn, dude, that doesn't even exist anymore. You know why? Because Learn Squared exists.
Exactly. Like we have so many success stories of students that
Yeah,
just
we
sign
do.
up
We haven't talked
and they
about
don't
it
even go
either.
to ArtStation anymore because they're just not impressed. It's I think I've read this quote from someone named Ash Thorp saying
Don't quote me. Don't make up bad quotes about me. You dick. Do
saying
it.
that
Actually do it. Yeah, yeah.
Learn
What
Squared
did
is
I
the only
say?
place where your art doesn't suck. So, and that's true. That's what I heard allegedly.
That is true. I did say that. It's good. It's
All right.
good. Hopefully
All
the
right. That was
chat's
the
blown up.
and by the way, this is not a sponsored podcast, so
It is.
we're not getting paid
We're
by
not
Learn
getting
Squared.
paid. Yeah, literally. We're not getting
We're
paid
not
from our
getting
own
paid.
company. This is good. It's
All right,
good.
cool. We can go back to the subject.
uh,
That was hilarious. Should do
oh
more of
man,
those.
that was great. I thought it was probably one of the best ads I've ever heard.
I know.
I mean,
It's
I'm my body's ready.
I took a marketing lesson from my daughter. So
Baby Maya schooled your ass.
um yeah, man. I
um,
wanted to talk with you about freelance. I think we could talk about freelance. I think this is a good topic because I think there was
sure.
even a question there.
People are interested in
Um,
about that
yeah,
shit.
there was a question about
Don't do
freelance. I'm actually gonna read it because I'm gonna read all of the other questions later. But that was a very interesting one. And I think it'd be an interesting topic to basically have a conversation about.
it.
Just trying
Mhm.
to find it. Where it
Uh,
was.
the answer is
Doo-doo-doo.
no. I'm not pregnant, but I'm expecting. So
Oh
there you
yeah.
go.
Okay. So the question was, when that was a question to me. How rude. We have a guest here, and the question goes to me. When you switch to freelance.
And then it's even more rude that you said that, and then you answer it. Yeah, I love it. That's great. Freaking dick.
When you switch to freelance, how did it go financially in the first months? And I think we can go around this question because we can actually unpack it to different areas. Because you started as full-time job, and you said this on your podcast already so many times. I don't, we don't have to talk about that again. I mean, go back to any of the podcasts you've run through, collective podcasts where you talk about it. Basically commuting from San Diego to downtown LA every fucking day and working
Yeah.
full-time job and coming back.
Yeah.
And you did it for a year. So I know you wanted to sort of like after that, you didn't want to do it for longer than a year, especially with that commute. Like that's insane. But
Yeah.
did you
A
had
little
in
much.
mind to be freelance artist right after that, or like
Yeah,
what
that
was
was
the
pretty much the
idea?
goal.
Okay.
because I couldn't leave San Diego, so I already knew it. Oftentimes I reflect on like how is it that I did what I did and where I'm at right now, and I think a lot of it's just due to my family. Really, it is. If I didn't have my family here, I would have just went to L.A.
Right.
I'd still probably be in L.A. And I would just be like doing shot. I had to do it. No, I don't know. Like I'd definitely be. I would be a totally different man, different person,
Right.
completely without my family. So, my family really is the thing that sharpened me to be the person I am today, and constantly do continually. So.
So
Because
how did you prepare? Because switching from like in most cases, I don't know what was your situation generally, but in most situations people kind of live you know paycheck to paycheck, especially if they work full-time job. It's very
shouldn't do
rare that
that. Don't
it's
do that.
true. I mean, you have to be smart
we all
financially
we all
not to
I
do that,
remember living
but
in that. I remember living in that life. Yeah.
it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah, all things are.
Yeah, but like I know the answer. Like we're gonna talk about it, but like I'm curious and how did you prepare for that? Like because you just cannot quit the job. Like if you live paycheck to paycheck, obviously, right? Probably
Yeah.
the worst idea to do is just like throw yourself into the unknown without having any financial support. You have to be really confident in yourself to do that,
Yeah,
and you have
I
to
did.
be
I quit
smart
my
as
job.
well. I know you did, but
Yeah. Yeah.
were you prepared in any case, or
Uh,
you were just like, "Ah, let's fucking do it"?
yeah, I kind of made the decision on my own, and I got yelled at. But yeah,
All right,
uh, yeah. I mean, pretty much that was kind of the situation. I just couldn't take it. I wanted to.
right,
I moved out when I was 14. I had been working jobs since I was 14. I was like 28 or 29 or so, somewhere around there. And I'm like, dude, half of my life has been yes, man. I'm done with that.
right,
And I still am, but I'm slowly working away from that. Right? When you come from the bottom, it takes a long time to climb all the way back up. So I'm slowly working on reclaiming my
right.
freedom.
How long
But
you've
when
been
I
in
did
the
it,
industry?
I just left. Uh, Man, I think since prologue, so now probably about 7 years now. Yeah,
Okay.
shit, man, it's stacking up. I better do something
So
cool.
you haven't. I mean, obviously you were doing like learning art and doing learning some graphic design and all of that good stuff prior
Yeah.
to working there,
Um,
right?
yeah. I mean, I've been a wannabe artist for a long time. Like
Yeah.
a desire to want to be, drawing and artist, and just for a very long time, my entire life. I've been doing
Yeah.
art. I've been doing art for 34 years. I'm 34 years old now. I've been doing it ever since I can remember. So I would just say that I've been doing it for 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like I'm slowly becoming, finally starting to see the light of the potential. It's coming soon. I think
Right.
the next 3 to 4 years are going to be the renaissance, like the big time shakeup. I think is kind of about to happen because I'm about to break that 3D threshold, and I can start
Yeah.
making like whatever. So
I
by
know what you're
myself.
talking about. I
Yeah,
definitely do.
yeah, exactly. You're going through the same thing. So, but also in regards to drawing and stuff, like, I haven't drawn for a while too. So I'm like, it's kind of funny how like I'm actually quite a shy person at most times, and so I'm doing this live with just drawing, like failing in front of you guys, and I think that's actually good too.
It's all good. It's all good.
I think it's good to do the like facing these kind of things. I think is good to
Yeah.
face those. Like I don't like public speaking, so I do it at least 4 or 5 times a year because I have to like just do it, go through the motion. Because I know that when you do things that you don't like, for the reason of being better, you actually grow the most
Yeah.
from that,
You throw
So
yourself in the deep waters, and that's how you test yourself
mhm.
and
Yeah,
really see what you're built of. Like
yeah,
it's really difficult to know whether something's gonna be a successful decision or not. And I think that comes back to my original question because like you basically did that. You like fuck, I gonna freelance. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for me, is like I said, the family thing. So I didn't have a choice, you know. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna freelance. I'm gonna make it work. You know, no matter what,
Right.
I'm just gonna make it work. And so I just wasn't. I had a question recently come in via email from somebody or a nice person, and they were asking me, how did you get into working on like Ender's Game and all that stuff? And I said, you know what, you got to just make this jobs up. And so I'll explain to you guys kind of how everything kind of flows. I always look for opportunities no matter what, and not in a sense of just like wanting to exploit things. That's not it. It's mostly like because I'm curious, excited, and eager to do new things. And
Right.
so I was working at a digital domain at the time. I don't know if they're still around. Are they still around? They got bought out
Yeah,
and
they're
something
still.
like
I think
that.
they still do have that division
Okay.
in LA. Yeah, they
Okay.
still do
Yeah.
VFX, but yeah, they've been going through bankruptcies before. I don't even know. I stopped
Yeah.
caring.
Me too.
We know why.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We both know why. But so yeah, I was working at digital domain. I was working on a Microsoft commercial, I think, doing UI kind of stuff, the typical stuff that I
Mhm.
normally used for and projects and stuff. And then I saw Sean and Ben Proctor.
Sean Howard.
Sean Howard, yeah, not like Sean and Ben, like they're like married lovers. No, it's and Ben Proctor and Sean, they were Hayworth, I think is his name. Yeah, and yeah, I saw them in a separate room drawing. I was like, oh, that's cool. What are these guys doing? So I like went in there and basically like made friends with them, and yeah, it was cool.
Those are
Like,
great guys to make friends with. Those
yeah,
and Darren Guilford, like those are the three production designers that I had experience talking or working with that
mhm.
are not only just great production designers but also fucking amazing artists.
Yeah,
And
super awesome.
they all come from concept art. Like all of those guys. They used to be
Yeah,
illustrators before. So yeah,
rad.
it's very very sort of like yeah, it's like finding your own luck, huh? Like just seeing the opportunity and
Yeah.
following with it.
Well, I mean, at the time too, I was commuting up to the digital domain office in LA, which, you know, I don't like that. I don't like commuting, really. I feel like it's a complete waste of time because I've spent so much time doing it. So I try to avoid it at all costs now. You know that.
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of great things that happen when I was able to do that. So, anyways, I'm working on these jobs, and then I see these guys hanging out in this room drawing. So I go and introduce myself, and I bug them, and I'm asking about this stuff. And believe it or not, Ben was the one that introduced me to Sid Mead's work. I had been somewhat aware of it, but he was like, "Oh, you should check out Sid Mead's work." And I'm like, "What's Sid Mead?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, you got to check it out," and showed me the book. And I was like, "Wow, this is really great." And they were doing concepts for like the all kinds of stuff in there. And anyways, I was working there for a couple weeks. I think I was coming in, and they were there, and eventually just kept talking with them. And then I was just doing my best to kill it on the job I was on, because I tried to kill it on every job I'm on, because that's the point in being hired for these things. And so I felt like I did such a good job that the guy who was running digital domain went in there. He was like, "Hey Ben, you should really talk with Ash and have him work out some stuff for Ender's Game. I think it'd be really good, like a good match for you guys." And Ben's like, "Oh yeah, really?" And then that was my introduction, and then that's all I needed. And then
Nice.
I just was like, boom. And I took that opportunity, and I went home, and I already saw it in my mind. I made it like a cool presentation and pitched my whole idea, and boom, I got hired right there. Boom. All right, Ash, you're on Ender's Game. And then I was on that job for 2.5 years or something like that, some crazy amount of time, because it was like my first main film, and then I worked on it, and then I tried to make myself as valuable as possible. You know, when you're on these projects, you got to be valuable, you know, and you got to
Yeah.
figure out where your value is and how to give value, not sit back and bitch about stuff. Oh, blah, blah, you know, like, no, be action oriented. And so
Yeah.
I made that job. I mean, a lot of times on these projects too, I'll make these opportunities happen, the best of my ability, just because I want to manifest my own reality. And so yeah, I was working on the project. I flew out to New Orleans a couple times to be on set. I coached Asa Butterfield like on gesturing, so that I would like influence the vis effects. I mean, it was crazy, you know. And I worked on like all the pre designs, and then I'll just pull up that work actually so I can talk a little bit about it, because I had this person ask me, it's hard for me to really explain how you do these kind of things. You just have to literally want it. You know, you have to really want to be
Yeah. There's
as
different there's different
it's a
levels to
mindset.
it too, right? I mean, we're talking about the Ender's Games and we're talking about working for digital domain. I can guarantee that a lot of artists dream about being there, but you have to start somewhere. So maybe
Yeah.
for you it might not be necessarily, digital domain. It might be that agency,
Hmm. That's
right
all it
around
was
the
at first
corner.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it was. I was working on a commercial, which I don't normally care for, but I knew that digital domain does great work, and I figured, hey, if I'm in with these guys and if I show them I can do it, then perhaps it could lead to feature film work, because that's all I really wanted to do, is work on films. And I had never really done UI prior to this too, and I was working on this job, and I was doing such a good job apparently to the production that my friend Zach referred me to the production designer that was working on Len Wiseman's film Total Recall, and so they loved my work. And then I went and interviewed with them while I was working on Ender's Game, then I did Total Recall with Ryan Cashman. It was just crazy. It was doing like 3 projects at the same time, managing it all, doing crazy amounts of work. I mean, there's just one thing led to the other, and I was just working
Yeah.
my freaking ass off. But it was about seizing the opportunity, making opportunities, and making myself useful. It's almost like the equivalent if you're sitting on like with a group of people and you see a broom and nobody's grabbing it, but there's dust on the floor. Go grab the broom and start sweeping. Like make yourself useful.
Yeah.
And I made good
It's a good
friends with
metaphor.
Gavin.
Because
Yeah,
there's so many
just
things
get
that
busy.
can come out of it. What if you're
Yes.
the only guy that does that, and then the owner of the fucking facility comes, or like if whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
Someone who was like expecting something to happen comes in as like, and sees that, like, oh cool,
Yeah.
like we might do something with you then. And there's different levels, of course. Like we were talking about Ender's Games and all that stuff. That's great. Like this is a high level stuff, but you had to be prepared for it. Like you worked your ass off prior to that. You did. You've
Try
been
to.
you've,
Try
you've been
to.
trying to do as much as you can prior to seizing that opportunity. I think what
Hmm.
happens is you will start to see those opportunities when you're prepared for them. And the only way to prepare for them is just basically try to push yourself out of the boundaries and to the limits. And when you reach that limit, see how you can actually cheat. Like enter cheat codes in the game where you can
Yeah.
do a little more than what
It's
game
not really
allows you to
cheating
do.
too. It's just it's seizing the opportunities.
Yeah, what
There's
I'm
healthy
saying is
ways of
like
cheating. There's healthy ways
unlocking
of
more
yeah.
levels that are not
Yeah.
available if you don't see them. Like
You
looking at
you must see it. You must see it. You have
right.
to. Seeing is
It's
believing.
there's a
Yeah.
reason why there are like speed runs in Super Mario, because
Yeah.
someone was playing it so much that they found that if you jump to specific places and specific
Mm.
pipes, you can actually do all those things, and
There's
that
speed
takes
runs in life.
dedication. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yeah, to recap my story, and hopefully the person that maybe I'll send them this link that will help you. I'm hoping this will help you, because I think the biggest lesson that I could ever pass along to anybody on this stuff is put yourself out there, be passionate, be direct, invent your own positions. If there's something to be done, do it. Don't shy away from a challenge. There was a lot of times on this project where they Ash, can you do this? I said, sure. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't. I just kind of figured it out along the way. And if I couldn't, I would let them know and I would work through it. But I basically created value for myself. I employed myself for 2.5 years on a major feature film, and it was some of the best times I've had in my career, because it was just like I was working with great people, and I mean, it was crazy. I got a chance to hang out with all these people. You can read a little bit about it here, but it was awesome, and I got to work with and meet such nice people, such great people, and they really, Gavin is the director, and he was such a sweetheart, and he I talk with him every once in a while, which is cool. I have his cell phone and I chat with him every once in a while. I get like feedback from him on things and stuff. And so it's really cool. I get to pick his brain about stuff, but, he said something really nice. And I think it was really a great thing. He helped me make my film better. And I felt, thank you. I tried my best, I'm not the writer. I'm not going to, fix all those kind of things or whatever it might be, but I'll do my best to make the designs as special as I can for you, and isolate on these things and help you make these things special and all that kind of stuff. So, and it's funny looking back at this work. It's so old now, but it's cool. You know how it is when you look at old work. Yeah, thank you. All these things they're basically storyboards. Like storyboards of information, and there's so much. I actually, when I rebuilt my website, I had only shown maybe like, I don't know, 5% of all the work, and right now I think I'm showing about 50%. I made about 700 plus files or something like that, Photoshop files. It was crazy. There's tons. So these were some of the original ones too, actually.
How do you build that mindset? Because you have this mindset of like putting yourself out there and pursuing those opportunities, like not waiting for luck to happen, but observing the world and working your ass off, basically, right? Just pushing all of your limits, knowing that if you do a little better than great, there's only good things that are gonna come out of it, and then you will start to see those opportunities. Like, how do you build yourself to be in that mindset?
I think it takes time. You have to trust yourself, and then you have to. I was sitting here drawing this, and I was thinking to myself about. There's two. I have two things on my shoulders. And it's funny that people bring this up because it's kind of true, and I feel like I face it a lot. Depending on my mood and my tone and my temperament and how much sleep I've gotten and all that stuff, I have two. It depends on the guests that are on my shoulders while I do the creative things. But before we did this call, I was sitting here drawing, and I was thinking to myself, like, this probably sounds weird, and maybe you do this too, or other people do. But I was thinking, like, of hearing the adulation and the confirmation and affirmation from all these people that I admire, that, Ash, you're doing great, you're doing good, like positive, like putting out that positive energy, like, this is such a cool drawing, or I'm reading the future comments from people that I admire, or whatever. And so I'm basically writing the story based on my own manifestations, if that makes sense, right, as I'm creating. And it's something that I didn't realize that I do until like I started to really analyzing, like, because when you teach and stuff, your students ask you these really interesting questions that I don't know how to answer until I have to like really do some deep thinking about, like, how is it that I do that and why do I do that? And so one of the things is I kind of curate and manifest in my mind as I create, and what that does is it encourages me. If I don't do that, then I kind of get lost, or like, let's say, like. Today I was working on like one of my scenes from my film, and I was thinking, oh, this is pretty good. And then once I was done feeling good about it, then like the asshole guy came up and was like, this sucks, dude. So it's so whack. You suck. You're such a hack. And then I was like, shit. So I gotta go back in there. And so I have the dualities going on, like I have the world's harshest critic. And then I have the world's like nicest critic, like the nicest supporting mom, I guess if you'd say, in my mind as I create. And I think that's kind of a really important thing that I would really, if you don't have that, I would maybe give it a try and just like exercise that good, positive thought, but don't do it so much that you believe your own shit that you're the best.
Yeah, don't sell to yourself your own bullshit. Like that's the trap, right? Like just basically convincing yourself that you're so good that you don't ever have to improve or do anything different or revisit the work that you've done. That's probably the bad idea. Do that.
They make their money and their time and all, they make it off their ego. Yeah. And that works for them. I
don't think it works for everyone. I think it only works for people that have very interesting personalities, but unfortunately they're also egomaniacs. Yeah. Like you can see that not only in art but in other places as well. If you have a person that does have interesting personality, then they almost have a license to be assholes, because then you might actually not like them and root against them, but you're still paying attention.
It's like Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump's the president of America right now. It literally is. It's so weird too. Like, I don't know why people don't get it yet. They still don't get it. You literally have to ignore that person in order to remove all power. It's people keep going at it, and they're like, I get it. He's a
Yeah.
moron, and the stuff that he's doing is moronic, and it should have attention and it should have light, but it shouldn't have all of it. And the more light you give it, the worse it gets,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I mean, not talking about politics, but generally seeing what's happening, and it's like I'm amused. Like, how can you rally yourself up to argue and be asshole about things that really you have no influence over, or about the idea that what you know and what you think is so important that you can project it on everyone else,
yeah.
and be almost violent about it. Like that's basically majority of the human nature. Like when you watch the protests, like all of those weird stuff that you hear about, I don't watch news, but I hear
Used to,
about some
yeah.
crazy shit
Yeah.
happening in the countries, like,
Mhm.
and not only US, everywhere else. Just that, and you just like glance at it, like, why the
It's all
fuck you guys
noise.
argue? Like, don't you have
Yeah.
better things to do in life? Arguing
You-
over topic that you probably are not educated about at all.
Yeah, you have no clue. You really know,
Yeah.
like government politics. The one of the biggest, Bill Burr talks about this. One of his skits about like one of the biggest problems is just overpopulation. There's just too many people, and that's like
It is.
nobody's willing to face that. That's one of the biggest issues, and that's just kind of
Something you
what it
notice
is.
when living in the big city. Like when you're in the big city, nobody cares about anyone. You only care about yourself, and you become an
Yeah.
asshole, basically.
Some people do, but yeah, I mean, it's so
Most.
difficult.
I'm
Yeah,
obviously
most.
talking
Yeah,
about averages. I'm not talking
generals.
about
Yeah,
everyone. Yeah, I'm talking generalities. But anytime you go to rural countries, or we go outside of big cities, you go to smaller towns, you're like surprised, like, why the fuck everyone's so nice to me? It's
yeah.
because like they don't have
Not
that
all the time, but yeah, yeah.
most of the time. Like if you go to like even talking about California, right? If you just go north and go to say Monterey or Morro Bay, like any of those towns, people are so nice to one another. Like on average, it's weird, especially coming from LA, right? In LA, everyone's an asshole. So mostly, not everyone,
Mostly, yeah, yeah.
mostly assholes, right?
Yeah, generalities.
It's
Yeah.
weird. You find a person like in the crowd, you're gonna find one person that is nice to you. You're like you're not even exercising happiness about it. You're just weirded out. Like, that's a fucking psycho.
Yeah, I try to go out of my way to give a little happiness, a little
Right.
whenever I can, like it's I think it's important. Actually it's funny, I should bring this up. Today I had this like kind of inspiration to share this thought I had with everybody. I think if I can find it on my Facebook. And I got trolled. And I was like, really, dude? You're going to troll me on my Facebook page?
You pay attention to that shit a lot, huh?
Well,
You do. You do. I
it
catch
irks it irks me. It irks me. So I said this is the quote I shared with everybody today, because I was seeing a lot of like this Nazi stuff going on. I was like, geez, man, like what's going on here? And I didn't want to pay attention
You know
to it
what's
too
funny
much.
about all of that Nazi stuff going on is that 99% of people that are doing that, they don't even understand what Naziism is,
Yeah, they
or
just want
who
attention or
Hitler
something.
was.
Yeah, they just want attention.
None
They
of
want to
that.
be stupid and shit. Yeah,
It's
and
just
they're
drawing.
getting it.
It's
They're
just
getting attention.
drawing words. Like it's just phrases. Like I like how Joe Rogan compares it, or how he phrases it. He says it's virtue signaling.
What's
You're
that?
trying. You're basically trying to throw those buzzwords because they're popular, and there
Yeah,
is certain subset of
hashtagging,
people. Yes,
social
certain.
hashtagging.
Yeah, there's certain like subset of people that react to it strongly. So
Yeah.
you're scoring those social points of being like a really cool person when you do that, right? It's called like
Yeah.
he calls it virtue signaling. So, like you're showing how virtuous you are, like how great you are by being behind the keyboard and spewing shit you have no idea,
Yeah.
zero idea about. It's
Yeah.
so fucking crazy. It's
I
so
had
crazy.
I had Chris Do on the podcast. Well, before I get off on that tangent, remind me to talk about what Chris Do said about trolls, which I thought was a really good, valid point. So
Right.
today I was feeling inspired to share some kind of like positive thing, right? It's like, I had this thought and I said, the thing I shared was, remember, there's always room for more greatness in this world. Basically, like, okay, people, we get it. There's a lot of shit going on, but remember, there's more room for greatness, like,
Yeah.
Let's try to be a little great, a little better, you know?
Yeah.
And then this guy is like, he posted some shit like people that like quotes, like wafty quotes, he's calling it, are often idiots or something like that. And he like shared a link, and I responded with a GIF that said, "Shut the fuck up."
Why do you? Here's your problem, dude. You respond to trolls. You
No,
shouldn't do
yeah,
that. That's
and I'm,
internet rule number 101. It's internet
what's up with
101.
people doing that, man? Like, come on, guys. Like, come on, dude. Like, get out of here with that. Like, why do you have? I'm
Why do
trying to
you
share
care?
something good.
Look, so here's the issue. I
No,
think
it's
the
just
issue.
like,
No, I'll explain it to you. Let me explain it to you because I think that that's the problem that you have to realize, and it's a simple thing to realize, but just has to be said aloud, and maybe you'll get it
all
right
the
away.
time,
All right.
anytime.
So remember the times where you had like rotary phones, like you didn't have cell phones. Remember those
Mhm.
times? Remember those
Yeah.
times where you only had 3 channels on TV on TV?
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to meet with friend, the only way to meet with him would be to go to his place, and if he was there, then you would meet him. If not, then you wouldn't meet him. You wouldn't even know what's going on with his life until you
Yeah.
actually talk to him personally.
Old school.
Remember those times? Well, your field of vision was only related to people that you knew and wanted to talk with, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Right. So today, almost every person on Earth has access to internet, or a majority of them. And it's
I
actually,
don't
I
want
think
this guy to. This guy that
look, so
I
he's,
hate him.
I think it's projected that by 2025, 90% of humans will have cell phones and access to communication and social media, right?
Mm.
Anyways, and I think on average what was the average of how many idiots you have per 100 people? You're gonna have at least
98.
like I'm not talking about dummies. I'm talking about complete fucking
Assholes.
idiots like fucking douchebag, like the worst of the worst. You're gonna have at least 5 or 10. Like one
Yeah.
one out of 10 is complete
Why?
idiot.
Why? Is it
Right.
just because they're raised like
No,
improperly,
it's just
or
like
what's the
you
deal?
know what I think what happens is that we are still monkeys. Like humans
Yeah.
are what 200,000 year old from the time we developed into actually
Whoa,
Homo
dude! I'm
sapiens,
into
so what,
Scientology. I
200,000
don't believe
whatever.
that. I don't believe
And we
that.
still have the monkey brain, like the part of our brain, the crocodile part of the brain is like
The
still
lizard
like
brain.
yeah, the lizard brain is still there.
Yeah.
And up until literally up until 19th century, maybe early 20th century, people were still fucking dummies and monkeys. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you get all of this
Still dumb.
connection and all of this knowledge thrown at you. Like
Yeah.
literally only in the last 15 years or last 20, maybe last 30 years, the human progression that went fucking leaps and bounds, right?
Hmm.
So you get
Yeah.
people that can catch up and are informed and take that as an opportunity to become better humans, but then you also have fucking dummies everywhere.
Yeah.
And the problem was that
That guy wasn't
prior,
dumb. He was just being a douche.
no, but listen, but problem is that prior to that, if you wanted to hear a dummy, you would have to talk to a dummy.
Yeah,
You would
and I
not
would be
have
like,
that person
I'd punch
on
the dummy
TV.
right in the face.
You would not be able to hear from that person ever until
Yeah.
you actually met with that person.
Man, I
because
miss
that
those
person would
times.
not be on TV. An idiot would not be quoted on TV or in radio. Like they would there was just to get on a radio was a challenge. Like you had to present some fucking value to get there. TV,
Sure.
news, newspapers, whatever. Now you
Yeah.
just fucking open a fake account on Twitter and start throwing fucking monkey shit through the
Douchebaggery
through
everywhere.
the zoo
Yeah.
glass or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you have not gazillions, millions of idiots on this planet. Millions.
Yeah.
So the chances are you're gonna get exposed. The more people are following your work, the more people you know, the more chances you're gonna,
I'll tell you what.
enjoy that.
If you're out there and you think it's funny to do that, go fuck yourself. And I'm gonna unfollow you and I'm gonna shame you publicly. So, fucking idiots.
How about just ignore it? Like,
Yeah, well,
because
that
I'll tell
only
you why.
lasts so long, but sometimes I want my glorified like public shaming.
No, I get it. Like the satisfaction of doing that.
Yeah,
But then again, like, don't
douche.
you have more important things to do in your life? You know what I mean?
No, I do. And the thing is, what I was trying to do is like, look, can I share something positive with somebody today? Then this guy had to be
Yeah,
a
and
total douche about it.
the problem is majority of people will take it as a positive, and then you're gonna have one really vocal person that will skew your, vision of
I'm gonna keep
reality.
sharing it. I'm not gonna stop. It's just like, damn, you know. But I know
Yeah.
you're right. I gotta be the better man. I gotta freaking.
I
This is a
just
problem that happens all the time. It's just I don't. I guess I must just deal with it and go, oh, well, whatever, you know.
you know what it is?
I just hope it was like it didn't make sense. I was like, hey, I'm trying to do something nice here. I'm trying to say something nice,
Right.
whether you believe in it or not. This guy is obviously like a jaded person or whatever, because it doesn't work for him. I don't know what he needs to get excited about something like. And it's not even a quote. Sometimes like, you know, you hear a quote, you're like, okay, cool. Then you hear like a really great one, you're like, wow, that really connects with me. I feel good. I feel like that person really understands me and I don't feel alone.
Right.
Like that's, and then he was like trying to insult my intelligence. I was like, oh, great, thanks. Trying to help here, but I guess not. So I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think, do you think my actions are good or bad?
I think majority of people are saying you should suck dick, but no, joking.
Too late. I'm
No,
already
they're
doing
saying
it.
you should not be sad. You should be happy. But what I was trying to say, I think was one of the Tim Ferriss's podcasts. I can't remember he was talking with. One of his guests said very very interesting quote. I quoted this before, and I told you this quote before as well. It's like there are no statues erected for critics.
Yeah.
There literally aren't. There are statues erected for fucking murderers. That happens too, but that's, ideology or whatever. But
Yeah.
rarely ever a critic, or if at all. Like it just never happens, and there's a reason for that. If all you do is just being a critic, you're literally doing nothing in this life.
Yeah.
Because you're not giving.
Andrew would argue with that, but I agree.
Yeah, but Andrew is kind of a different person. He cries watching Chappie, so I can forgive him that. But I think the point is, if the only thing you can do is just be critical about something without giving an option how to improve,
Yeah.
then you're doing nothing. You're not doing any productive work. It's very easy to say words. Very easy.
Yeah. So many people get by just saying words, which is really weird. I don't know. I've been recently rewatching The Wonder Years. I love it. It's on Netflix. It's one of my favorite shows.
I used to watch it too.
It's so good, dude. You should rewatch it. It's
Pretty good
so
show.
good. Yeah, it's just like
wasn't
super wholesome.
Marilyn Manson in that show?
Was he?
I think so. He was one of the guys
No.
in that show. I think so. I think he was.
I'm about to Google this. Marilyn Manson.
Remember he was one of those boys in the, that was him.
Hold on, let me see. No, that's not. No way. That's not right. They're saying that Paul is. No way. No way. That's. No way. That's not right.
False.
That's false. I mean, come on, man.
That's so funny, though.
You dummy.
Dude, I genuinely believed in that.
Oh, you're so dumb, you dummy.
That's so funny. There you
no,
go.
I'm
so stupid.
It's pretty funny.
But
I love
you
when
were saying
people
about
start
Wonder
that shit.
Worlds, Wonder Years. What about it?
Oh,
It's a great show, by the way.
It is awesome, and it's so wholesome, and it made me think about the times when like life was different, like a little bit slower, and your network of friends and people were like close by, and like I remember I grew up in a similar era. Like he grew up in like the 70s, which is we grew up in the 80s. We're on the cusp of that change, but yeah, it was just watching that show remind me of like how wholesome things used to be, and like how people I've noticed people aren't being like, they're not saying please and thank yous too. It's like, what the hell? Like, what happened to that? Like,
It's too many people, man. It's like, I think it's just like how we behave, like how our brains and bodies react to overpopulation. That's basically what happens. Like when you're, you know,
I don't know, man. I mean,
uh,
Japan doesn't. They don't do that in Japan. I think it's a cultural issue. I think that's really what it
I don't
is.
know, man. I don't think
We
it
sound like a
is.
bunch of old guys. We should probably talk about something better, like art. You guys, it's for reals. We're just ranting and sound like freaking old
Dude, I don't
douches.
care. Like we can talk about whatever
There's
is
got to
fun.
be some good
Hey,
questions. You
let me
guys got some
actually
good
ask my
questions in there?
producer
Yeah.
if we are allowed to talk about things we want to talk about. He says, I don't give a fuck. So
You love using that. You love doing that. You pull that all the time on the
I know,
streams.
because that producer is so important. I think that producer of the show, that very talented artist guy, I think he's the best guy on earth.
Blow some kisses to yourself
I
on
know.
that one.
I would totally suck his dick, man. I would totally do that.
Would you suck your own dick if you could, Marilyn Manson style? I'm bringing up Marilyn Manson again. He's the one that like removed a rib or something. That was like the urban myth. They removed a rib of his
I've heard
body so
that.
he could suck his own
Dude,
pee-pee.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
And I was like,
and I've
that's
heard
not
it
too
not
bad.
even in this country. I've heard it when I was back in Poland.
It's not gay
so-
if you suck your own wiener, right?
I know. You aren't.
Yes, we're on to the good. Okay, let's just talk about this then. What do you guys think in the audience? What do you guys think? Is it gay if you suck your own wiener?
If you just like gargle on that
Do you kiss
Grand
it?
Hogoso.
Oh man, oh that was good.
I don't think it's gay. Unless you're kissing it.
But just full on gagging on it, isn't?
Yeah, like
Just Pornhubbing the shit out of your own weenie, your winky.
obviously. I mean, the audience is saying it's not gay, so I trust them. If internet says it's not gay, then it definitely isn't.
I hope my mom and all my family's listening to this one. It's great.
Nothing wrong about this being gay either. Like, you know, if I were gay, I would totally think it's gay then.
I think I must say what the Louis C.K. did, which I thought was brilliant last time in his last stand-up. He's like, I don't care what anybody else does, and I have no right ever saying what you can do with your own body. But me, I have every right to oppress my own homosexuality. And I think it's the same thing. So don't get mad if you're gay and you're upset with what I just said. I'm not saying anything bad about you. I'm just oppressing my own homosexual tendencies because I'm allowed to. And if you're trying to tell me I can't, then you're wrong. Yeah, it's interesting.
We do have gay friends, by the way, and one of our apprentices is gay. You probably don't know that, but yeah, he's a cool guy. I worked with him over at Naughty Dog, so very cool guy. Very
I
mellow.
don't give a shit.
Yeah, who cares? Like here's the thing, like it's one of those topics where people get so fucking upset and like really touchy about. Like, man, who gives a fuck? You know, it's not your life. Like, just chill out. Just
let people do their thing.
Yeah,
Fuck
like
off.
is it? My rule is very simple. Is it affecting directly your life? Is that person coming over to your house and doing things you
trying
don't
to just
want?
fucking pin you down and blow you?
I like how again I'm gonna bring up Joe Rogan, but I like how he talks about that topics. Like someone who's disgusted by gays is secretly gay. Is secretly
they love dick. Yeah, they want it, and they're just jealous.
Yeah, of course.
It's true though. Come on, guys. Like, why would you be hating on gay?
I think there was they did like research on what are the most searches from search engines in communities that are very conservative, and gay was like really up there. So there is something about that, So I don't know.
Yeah, maybe just dudes wanted.
We kind of went off tangent.
Let's talk about dudes humping dudes. There's some good questions coming in. Maybe let's some of those things.
You know what? It's actually a good moment to
do another ad. I learned squared.
So
dare you?
Hey, actually, so
if
let's do
guys
another
don't
ad.
Want to be gay? Go to.
So if you want or don't want to be gay,
there you go. That's even better.
Yeah, there you go. No, but there's I pulled it up on the screen so you guys can see it. I found this awesome website, and I'm not getting paid by doing this commercial at all. So
Don't do another one. I was totally joking.
But
Can't wait till we
I've
get that redesign.
but what I've learned by just looking at it is if
You're so stupid.
if I've never been an artist and I came across Learn Squared, I would be like, oh my god, I
Dude.
so want to be an artist now. Like it's so cool to be an artist.
Like a VR blowy.
And yeah, it's like when you look at that little video that is on the website and you see that sexy hands, it's like, fuck. If being an artist means having those sexy hands.
Oh man, that's so good.
And I'm completely down for that. So there you have it. It's commercial number 2.
And that's the best ad you'll ever hear. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no better one than this one.
No, there's none. None that
I
exists.
think it's even underselling the idea of what the school is, because like you
I think so too.
literally, I think I've heard it somewhere, and someone has wrote it, and I trust it because it was on internet.
It was etched in stone. It was etched in stone.
You know, when someone writes something really positive about Learn Squared on the internet, it's true.
Yeah.
I usually don't read negative stuff because
no.
false.
Why would you read that? Yeah.
You can actually Snopes that, allegedly saying.
Yeah.
But someone said that Learn Squared is literally the best thing that ever happened in his life.
Into humanity. Yeah.
Into humanity, yeah. It's like for a really religious person, like a second coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
Yeah,
And
it's like Scientology.
I trust that person because he was on the internet. That means it's true. So
allegedly, though, right? Yes.
allegedly, yes.
Be cautious with that word.
Allegedly
this happened, but it's true.
I've also heard that the founders of Learn Squared made flat Earth to be round.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that's true.
So there's something about that, and we single-handedly killed dinosaurs so you guys can learn art.
And we're working on AIDS right now. We're getting there.
We're getting all the diseases that are
cancer, all of it.
Yeah, all of that eradicated after you
pissed
take
off
the
at
course.
Yeah, we're done with it.
So
people are blowing up in the chat. That's awesome.
All right, some questions.
Yeah, questions.
There was a question about visas and
that's
all
all
that
you,
stuff,
bro.
like working for video games or moving to US, or I'm here on the US.
You working for video games?
Here in the
what
US
does that
with
even
the
mean?
department visa since my wife is PhD.
She does?
Student, even Sucker Punch can't get me damn work visa, even Crystal Dynamics. Hold on, I think it was prior to that question. Anyways, so any questions around visas and U.S. immigration? I might be missing parts of that question, but any immigration questions, go to the history of the channel. I had a episode with an actual U.S. immigration lawyer and Alex Neonakis. Just search it. Most of the questions that I usually see are right there. So
they're all there for you, buddy,
and answered by a person that actually knows what he's talking about. So
not us.
Yeah, not us, not me. I went through
definitely not me.
Yeah, I went through that whole process. I know quite a lot. But yeah, it's better to hear. Like we talk about that in that episode. So I highly recommend that one. Yeah, that was concerning immigration. There's another one. So I'm gonna skip those immigration questions. To Ash, when you first started learning ZBrush, how was it transferring your knowledge of anatomy from 2D drawing into 3D?
It's awesome. It's really easy. Once you understand forms, you easily naturally transition it. It's completely. I love the time that I spent in ZBrush. I got incredibly busy on something else. I don't know what it was. I forgot that it pulled me away from it, and now I forgot how to use a program. So now I'm totally screwed again. But I loved it. I had so much fun. Let me see if I can find some of those studies I did. I loved just spending the time in that program, actually finally learning it, utilizing it properly, it was just so good. It was a lot of fun. Let's see, see if I can find it. Yeah. How about you, Mache, translating that stuff? Because you're not like, the thing I notice about you is like, you don't know all those things. You've managed to figure out ways of hacking the system in the best of ways, like
So the way I look at
Daz
everything
boy.
is, yeah, I mean,
Daz
DAS
boy.
obviously makes it easier, but DAS is not completely anatomically correct. Like there's so many issues that
Hmm.
make those figures look very cartoony.
Yeah.
So if you really want to have like the proper correct way of doing things, you have to study a little bit of you have to study anatomy. You have to understand how muscles work. Like the least you can do is just understand the muscle structures, and if you don't want to memorize them, and I think memorizing is actually a bad idea. It's better to actually practice by looking at how they look, like the references, and then
Yeah.
practicing them. And there are amazing books on how to draw anatomy. I personally have never, I've dabbled in that, but never made it as an exercise that I would follow for like months and months because I never found it too useful. Um, because I think my biggest understanding from of anatomy and muscles came from training with the bodybuilder. I used to train with the bodybuilder a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and just knowing how which muscle groups
Squats.
you're training and how to affect them, like when you get interested with that, you start to understand anatomy that way very quickly, like because
Mm.
it relates to your physical activity, and then you're
Yeah.
paying a lot of attention to it. So I
Yep.
think that was really helpful for me. But generally when it comes to anatomy, I just look at photo references and just really observe, and I like to look at muscle photos or drawings instead of just like a photo of a person or whatever. Especially
Muscle
if I want to,
Bros.
especially let's say I take that DAS model, right? And I know there's some things that are not correct about it. So what I like to do is, I'm gonna pose a DAS character, but then I'll look at how muscles work and then try to
Hmm.
correct that pose in post, like draw over and exaggerate things where they need to be exaggerated, fix some of the skinning issues that are coming from the 3D that is just completely incorrect.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest mistake you can make is assume you know something and never pay attention to references or shy away from references.
Yeah, that's stupid.
I
Yeah.
had I had the session. I'm doing a apprenticeship with one of my students for my futuristic character design class, and he started doing like shaders,
Hmm.
and you quickly know that he didn't look at references. So first thing I asked him, like, did you look at references? And he said no. And that's the
Yeah.
mistake like we all make. Like we
Yeah.
assume
Yeah.
we remember things,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we never. The problem is unless you have your brain wired in a way that you remember pictures like photographies, like you almost have a photo book in your head. I can
Yeah.
guarantee you're probably 99% wrong about what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And
where
the only
style kind of comes out too, which I think is interesting too. So I wouldn't
true.
neglect that completely. But just to say that's my thoughts on it. But yeah.
Right, but I think I mean, well, someone could argue, but what about Kim Jong Ji? He draws anatomically awesome and whatever. Yeah,
Well,
because he has that muscle memory. He's doing
yeah.
it every fucking day.
Yeah.
So
He
you
does
build
it
that muscle
so
memory.
much. Yeah. He's
I've
going at it.
mentioned many times before that I had a period of time of looking into how brain works and develops. And
Yeah.
I'm still doing that. And one of the things that I've read about was very interesting on how brain actually functions and develops is, you know, you have neurons, right? Basically those things that build your brain. And the way you learn things is if two neurons fire up at the same time, then
Hmm.
they build a bridge between one
Mm.
another. They build a
That's cool.
connection. And once this connection is built, it's there forever, right?
Yeah.
So when you talk about muscle memory, when you talk about, understanding things and building knowledge, what happens is that you're building those bridges, and the more you practice, the more of those bridges are there. The more clarity you have in understanding what you're really doing, right? That's why when you go and practice, let's say basketball, right? You're getting good at it, right? The more you practice, and obviously, if you stop practicing, then you're getting a little rusty. You need to refresh that memory. But
Yeah.
like it also explains, once you take a driver's test and you know how to drive, you never forget how to drive. You can stop driving for 10 years, get behind the wheels. It's gonna feel uncomfortable because you sort of like have to refresh that memory, but the connections are there. So after 15 minutes, you're driving like you used to drive. It's very interesting,
Yeah.
like how it
Yeah.
works and functions. So, and obviously there's certain dysmorphias and genetic aspects that make those functions not work correctly. Like every human is different, everyone's brain works differently, but in general that's how it works. So, and it all of those same principles apply to you learning things. If you're not looking at references, then you're not having those neuron saying I observe and see reference and understand the form, and
Mm-hmm.
then the neuron that says we're going to send that information to your hand so you can actually draw it on the screen, right? So I'm
Mm.
just very paraphrasing and making it as simple as possible, but that's basically it. And in order to do that perfectly, then all of the aspects of the things you see and analyze, and there's like millions of them, require its own bridge. So
Mm.
having shitload of practice will build those bridges. Like same as you going to jiu-jitsu, how many times a
Yeah.
week.
Cool. I finally start to feel it,
Right.
that rhythm,
But
connecting
those
those things,
complex moves, those the way you flow, the way you get to that flow states of not reacting to what you see, but almost playing chess ahead without even thinking. Because a lot
Yeah.
of things you do probably when you're sparring, when you're doing flows, you're not even thinking about a lot of that. It's
That's when
muscle
you really get
memory,
good. That's when you
right?
really,
And
yeah,
the
it's
the
muscle
reason
memory.
the reason it's muscle memory because you have enough of those connections there that your brain doesn't need to you don't need to fire up and sync anymore. It
Yeah.
doesn't require that time to sync your neurons. It just happens automatically. It's already there. You don't have to pay attention and focus to it. So
Mm.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's how it
man.
works. The more practice you have, the better. But you have to have practice that is based on learning from the right source, right?
Yeah, I think that's a real important thing. Learning from the right source is key. And if you don't have it, then
Then go to
yeah,
Learn
it's
Squared.
so good, perfectly timed.
Yep.
We're working together on this. Yeah, but back to the ZBrush thing. For me personally, like I was doing those studies, and then I was like, okay, cool, and then I went off and started exploring and doing a bunch of weird stuff, and then I just had so much fun. Honestly, it was like a week-long sabbatical I think I took just to kind of really get into it, and then I went off and rendered it because a lot of the things that I find to be really fun is I'll take a model. So I'll make this in ZBrush, and then my favorite part of it is like actually seeing it properly. So which is like creating the shaders and lighting it and setting up my camera and taking a photograph of it. Yeah, this is my favorite part of the whole process because it's like eating the cake. I bake the cake all day. I've been sitting, the oven's all hot and shit. I hate it, but then this is my favorite part. Is like, cool. I'm getting to eat my cake. So all these images, these are like these prior to us releasing, or prior to the Ghost in the Shell film releasing, I did these based on a bunch of the concepts that the guys were doing. And I was thinking, it'd be fun because I was wanting to learn the loops or whatever, I forget what
Right.
they're called.
You're actually taking Alex Figini's class for this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great class. It's like insanely good class because it's got so much stuff
So
to it.
packed, dude.
Yeah, yeah. It just goes to show, like, I mean, I haven't used ZBrush prior to this, besides like just trying to play with it like 5 years ago. But then I went right into it and headstrong right into it, and
Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook has allegedly wrote me that if you take Alex Figini's class, then you don't have to take any more lessons in life.
uh, It's true. It's very true. You could take that shit to the bank.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And tell
It
it to
was a lot of fun.
cashier, they're gonna give you millions of dollars, allegedly.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's allegedly. It's internet information, but it's true. So yeah.
It must be true. So
Yeah.
it's definitely not fake news. It's definitely not that.
Real news.
Do you recommend someone to work in graphic design before they go and work as a concept artist, and why, as you experience it? I would like to hear.
I think that everybody here should do whatever makes them happy. I know that's a shitty response to that, but I think the best way to do anything in life that even matters is to literally follow what matters to you most, and only do that, and do it with your complete intention of being the best at it. Everything else comes secondary to that, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you were not a concept artist before Learn Squared, and you're not thinking about being one.
No.
Until you found that it's really fun to do.
Yeah.
And you had to experience it by yourself. So I think trying a lot of things in life is usually a very good idea.
Yeah.
And see if it clicks with you. Like, if it clicks with you, dive into it. Why not? I think one of the things that is going to become very important in life is the idea of learning anything you want to learn and learning it fast.
Yeah.
And not shying away from it, especially with how the world is moving on. And dude, I've heard today that scientists or some fucking computer magicians, they made an AI programs that started talking to one another in language that they don't even understand. So,
turn it off.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
That's dangerous.
You know, we all know how technology is moving on. We know what happened to Detroit when automation came to automotive industry.
Yeah.
What happened to Detroit after that is what's going to happen to pretty much every single job that is out there. Eventually.
Yeah, you guys got to be ready. You got to have a value, and you have to be unique. You have to have a unique value.
And you have those most prolific economists, not some random douchebags, but people that understand the industry, saying out loud, like, learn how to learn and learn how to adapt and adjust, because that skill is going to be more important than anything else, right? So
Learn Squared. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Learn Squared is actually the only place, allegedly, that allows you to learn how to learn fast and become an expert in any single job out there, even those that don't exist.
I'm going to pull a quote from the chat because it's amazing. Learn Squared for life. Mark Zuckerberg, 2017. A quote. I love you guys. You guys are great. This is great.
Yep.
You're my kind of people out there.
It's written.
Chat's filled with good peeps.
The moment it appears as a message anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, it's true.
Believe it. The old biblical saying is that it's true. So
believe in thy interwebs.
Exactly.
Because thy interwebs know.
But it's sort of like how does all of this relate to your question? Is like, try and see if it sticks and do it. Because why not? I mean, today you can learn everything really fast if you put your mind
on Learn Squared.
And on Learn Squared, obviously, only on Learn Squared. Like, don't get your shit twisted. Like, this is the only place you can go to.
It's a bad idea getting two of the three founders of Learn Squared on the podcast together. You guys are gonna get spammed all the deliciousness.
But just try it. I mean, how long did it take you to actually learn ZBrush to a point that you can use it at work? That you can use it for work? Not that long, right? You just took Alex Vigini's class and experimented a little bit, and now you can actually use it for work, and you do use it for work.
The other day, I was walking past one of my windows, and it had a smudge on it, so I went underneath the pantry and I grabbed a bottle of Learn Square and sprayed it on it, and boom, man! It's perfect now. So
Yep.
learn squared in the liquid form, bottle form, it's even better.
Dude,
No,
of
no,
course.
it's true. No, the like even when I did that sabbatical and I did that the ZBrush stuff, it just helps, And I think learning things not just for the sake of learning them, but learning them with a destination is really key. And I think one of the things that's really important is to know where you're going, and be very cautious and aware of that destination. So it's
Yeah.
like if I were to relate it to jiu-jitsu, for example, and I don't know, like imagine not everybody here, obviously, if you're not familiar with what jiu-jitsu is, it's kind of like a technical form of wrestling. It's like joint locks and like submission, ligament breaking, and all kinds of stuff like that. It sounds kind of bad if you don't know what it is, but it's a lot of fun. It's I call it body chess. It's like chess with your body. It's just really awesome. But what was I getting at?
I
The
love you
belt
guys in the
system.
chat.
So?
This
Yeah.
chat is
It's so good. Got a
so
lot of
good.
good peeps today. You got the good
So
peeps in
good.
this one. Yeah, got the good peeps. I forgot what I was gonna say about the jujitsu thing. Uh, oh well,
Um, I
forgot.
you know who invented jujitsu?
Japanese people.
No, I've heard the founders of Learn Square.
Somebody say that in the chat. I hope they did. Yeah.
No, I just said it. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, let me see. Let me actually maybe read one more question. I know I'm gonna
Yeah.
skip a lot, but
Should wrap it up in a little bit
yeah,
too.
we have to. I have to get back
Uh,
to work, and then we have a call in like 9 hours. So
And
it's
then
gonna be
I have
interesting.
another podcast tomorrow.
What the fuck?
I'm going on Chris Doe's like
Oh
live
right,
show
and I
tomorrow.
do
Yeah.
have. You guys are gonna catch me on Twitch. So
Yeah,
all
you get
good.
Twitch tomorrow. Yeah.
Um,
Twitch.
that's a good one, and I think it's a good one for you. What do you think are the biggest differences between graphic design and concept art?
Me? Well, I think the big
Yeah,
difference
because
is
you've been doing both, so you can tell the difference. I mean,
um
if you would have to explain in the most layman terms,
uh concept art and what was it? Design?
graphic design.
Graphic design and concept art. Yeah, I mean they're totally different, but they're totally connected. For me, I don't know. I really connect all of it in my head, and I don't put the boundaries on it. I've only put boundaries on things I think it makes sense. Like you don't put sauce in your cereal, but you definitely use design when it comes to concept art. So
Right.
I think of them as one and the same. It's just different levels. So for me, I don't see the difference really. Like I'll use a grid to base on the spacings of a ratio of a concept piece of like art or design. Let me see if I can grab something so I could explain it. So it's not just me rambling on. Let's see. But I think that they're saying they're running the same in a lot of the ways. I don't like to divide it. I have friends that are like, I'm a designer, and they're like all about, I'm a designer, this and that. Let me just grab maybe this like War for the Planet of the Apes stuff, because this is a perfect blend of design and concept art, I guess, if that would make sense, because it is kind of both of them to get together. Using design as a method of conveying information or an idea, and then also using the ideas of creating random things from, like, I guess that's what concept art is, right? It's like creating something that doesn't necessarily exist, words on a paper or thoughts in the mind, and then extrapolating upon those. So with this, for example, like this is a Kuba, like the idea was for him to be like submerged underneath just like tons of bullets being surrounding him. And in a way, this is kind of concept art. It originally started as a sketch, and then I would design it out, but I would draw it out as a thumbnail, and then I would then go into 3D, and run all kinds of simulations, and it gets quite complex from there, and then
Yeah.
comp it all together. But this is, to me, this is design and concept art. It's all the same kind of
It
thing.
is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a different
similar.
way of presentation, but at the end of the
Yeah,
day, it is. I think the
yeah.
differences are, I mean, graphics design, it's a little different medium, obviously, and the purpose of it is still different. But
Hmm.
as you said, they both intertwine. Like, you can implement the concepts or the principles of concept art, which is basically solving problem solving and making the production easier for anyone else. Because that's
Yeah.
what really concept art is. And you do the same thing with the design, but it's more in the presentation form. But the things you learn from the concept art itself, like as you're a concept artist and you're trying to solve those problems and sort of like design the way things look and work specifically for a video game, film, or whatever that is,
Yeah.
then some of those principles can be translated to graphic design. So then you can maybe have your designs more visual, maybe driven by different references that you would normally adhere to as a graphic designer, if you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
like if you
It's all
being in the
connected.
graphic design in industry, you have a little bit of different reference. You look at different kind of references than, let's say, someone who works for video games would, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of inbreeding that happens. I noticed too. It's like you gotta
right.
spread your
I think
resources out.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to get at. Like the
Yeah.
moment you sort of like break through those barriers, and like the
Yeah.
moment I started looking more into graphics design, the more I started appreciate things that I would never pay attention to when I'm creating concept art. For
Yeah.
instance, like just small things like, let's say you design a robot, right? And you want to have some markings on it. Like next time around, if you pay attention to how graphics design work and just generally design principles, you'll pay a little more attention to what kind of font you're gonna use, what those markings mean, how
Hmm.
they're presented, where they are placed. Like those things as a concept artist, a lot of us don't think about because like we
Yeah.
just, let's make it cool. Like that's majority of what artists think, like a concept artist think. Like oh, it's cool. Like let's make it this way. It's cool. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it
But you
doesn't
don't get paid to just make things cool. You get paid to think
exactly.
about them, and that's what makes Sid Mead's work stand out against everybody else because he doesn't just go like he doesn't just make it cool. You know, he's like I'm thinking about how this works, and I'm also adding my own pizzazz and thought and style and approach to just how everything works from there. You know, and I think that's really the key is creating narrative to your work. And so, yeah, for me, I don't know. I find them. I'm not probably not the best to describe that because I find them to be one and the same. And I approach it all in the same way. Like I approach writing the same way. I approach, like running a company. It's like designing. You know, you're designing. What do you want to feel like? You design your life. You design your time. You design the work that you make. It all encompasses one and all in one thing, I think.
Yeah.
And it's all about choices, decisions and choices, and making the right ones to fulfill the outcome that you want most, and being conscientious of your decisions to get there. Yeah, Dana White is a student of Lawrence Gray. You dumbass. I saw that in the chat. When people watch this later on, does the chat go like live
No,
like
no.
Twitch does? It's a bummer. That's why I wanted to refer. So if you're listening to it later on, Mache is just talking
Yeah,
shit
all of
while I
it
talk.
all of it is obviously recorded live, and when you're listening to it later, you don't really see what's going on chat, but
Yeah,
chat, you guys are awesome.
yeah, they got a good group in there. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's
They're
great.
staying up late dogs.
Yep. Let's
Uh,
wrap it up, man. I
yeah,
think it was a good conversation.
yeah,
We
it's
went
cool. Thanks
for
for
two
having me.
hours, man. Like that's good. I
Yeah,
almost feel like we could go even more and more, but anyways, like
yeah, we
almost
could.
two
Yeah,
hours, hour and 40 minutes. All
need to
good.
go to
All
bed.
good.
Get that
Yeah, I
early
gotta get to
morning
work.
start.
This is gonna be last episode before hiatus. I'm actually going on hiatus with Art Cafe. There is just a bunch of things I need to take care of, as well as the THU is coming up, so I have to prepare for that. Work, all of that stuff. So I
Ooh,
definitely gonna have a few more episodes coming up on THU. I have a couple of artists that are on THU that said yes, and we'll do some of that stuff if it works out. Or I'll just grab random people there and do podcasts with them. So
grab ass and touchy feely.
they grab ass and touchy feely
Like,
on
come
the
here,
on the spot.
janitor. Yeah,
So we'll do it there,
should
and then
interview the
probably
janitor and
back
ask him
to
if he's going to be a concept artist eventually.
perhaps back to regular schedule or semi-regular schedule after that. So yeah, but you guys
What
gonna hear
time is
more.
that? When is that?
THU a month
No,
from
like
now.
when are you going to come back to your podcast?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
Month.
Oh, October.
Okay, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Specifics, my
THU
babes.
is in
Specifics.
September. So
Not
unless
everybody's going.
there might be an episode or two in between. before I go to THU. But it's just gonna be very, very random and unannounced. Like, I don't have anyone that I've scheduled for that time for now. And I deliberately didn't do that because I just have too much going on that I need to take care of. So I don't want to overwhelm myself with different shit. So, but anyways, guys, thanks for support. And obviously, if you love what I'm doing here, obviously just fucking smash that subscribe button and spam your friends with it.
Yeah, tell them about Learn Squared.
Press those likes. Because it's all about likes. Nobody cares about the content. Everyone cares about how many likes the content has.
Yeah. We don't care about anything else.
So I'll see you guys later. And obviously Twitch stream is gonna continue as they are. So you can still hear me there.
Be powerful, be prolific, peace out.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Yeah, gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.
But yeah, guys, thanks a lot, and I will talk to you next time.
Blowing you some kisses. See ya. Peace out, peoples. Bye.